Hi guys, I just want to show you how to do the anchor stitch in Mosaic Crochet. It's the double crochet anchor stitch. Now when you're working Mosaic, usually there's two kinds of stitches mostly. There's the back loop only single crochet that leaves these free loops into which you then work your front loop double crochet to create the designs and patterns that you would make in Mosaic Crochet. The problem is when you're doing more than one stitch in a row, when you only got one stitch in the double crochet front loop only, it's not a problem. But when you do more than one, you end up with these little pockets of gap behind them, because when I come back to make my next row, I work in this row here, so I never actually touch these loops back here. You end up with all these little open pockets behind your work if it's a pattern that has a lot of multiple stitches in front loop only. But there is a stitch called the double crochet anchor stitch, variations of it all over the place. I suppose it's the internet and the 21st century now, everybody's got a version of this. But when you do the anchor stitch, it does this, it closes off those gaps. You can't see that gap here. You can see it here, see the gap, but you can't see it over here. That's because these stitches have been anchored into the back loop of these loose stitches. So when we're making our front loop double crochet, we add an extra step which catches the back loop of these stitches down below before we make our double crochet in the front loop in this mosaic pattern. So I'll show you how to do that right now. There's what it looks like. Unanchored, anchored. Can't see any gaps here at all. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so you're working along your pattern. Now remember, these are my unanchored stitches. I'll do one more unanchored front loop only double crochet, which is just coming down to that vacant front loop only down below as per your pattern's instructions, and you work a front loop only double crochet and we end up with this gap. I'll just do some back loop only single crochet to get away from that. Just do a couple of these. So we've moved away from there now, and there it is. It's still got a gap. And look, it depends on what you're using your work for. That may not ever matter to you, but I suppose if you're using this blanket on a daily basis, and if you do a lot more than just the 4 that I use, let's say you've got 10, you can have a really big pocket at the back and that'll catch on everything. So here's how you anchor a stitch. We're going to use the back loop of this current row here, the one just below, the back loop, and we're going to do a partial single crochet. We're just going to basically pull up a loop from it. So you go into that loop, pull up a loop, and you don't do anything else, and that is already anchoring to this row. Now I'm going to do my yarn over, and I'm going to come down to the same stitch down below here where it belongs and do my front loop only double crochet component. But I start that, so I pull up a loop, I yarn over and I pull through 2 like any normal double crochet. But in a normal double crochet you should only have 2 loops left, but I've got 3. So we're just going to drop them all off together like that. So I end up with the same height as a normal double crochet, but I don't have a hole at the back. Now that won't be obvious until we do a few more. Let's do it again. Just no yarn over, just into the next back loop, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, come down to your next front loop that you need to use, and make the first pull through 2, and then pull through 3 all together. So now I've anchored 2 stitches, and you cannot see a gap. I'll keep going again. Just pull through a loop through the back loop of the single crochet row, yarn over, come down to the front loop only and start the double crochet, but finish all 3 loops off. 1 more. Pull up a loop, yarn over, come down and start your front loop only double crochet, pull through all. Now I've made 4 of them and there is no gap at the back. Unlike this one, there is nothing here to pull through. So you can do that as far as you need to according to your pattern's instructions. So always follow your pattern instructions. Let's do 1 more anchored. Pull through, yarn over, come down, grab your loop, pull through 2, pull through 3. Now it is a slightly fatter, little bit fatter because of that extra loop, but seriously, in a big project you're not going to really notice much difference. You see? Not anchored, double crochet front loop only, anchored double crochet front loop only, and you can see the difference here. That's where they're not anchored, and over here they are all anchored and you can't pull that open. There you go, anchored double crochet, front loop only. Check your pattern instructions and the abbreviations and stitch descriptions that they show you, but if you see double crochet anchor stitch in any form written in any way, that's what it is. Bye for now.